What's up, everybody? This is Ghost here, and today I'm gonna talk a little bit about Halo with, of course, Kevin and a guest on the channel, I guess. It's Jacob from DangerVille.
What's up, everyone? How are you?
Whoa. Kind of an honor to have you on the channel, man.
No problem, dude. It's been a long time since we've kind of got DangerVille going, and obviously me and Alistair still talk about you quite often, Ghosty. You are probably our most prized fan, and so now is the time we give you some credit back. So let's talk about some Halo and stuff.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to start a bit with like our own experiences, maybe real quick, because then the viewers know a little bit where we started, I guess, with which Halo and how much we've played. A little bit like on what level we are of fan, I guess.
Fair enough.
So I don't know who wants to start.
I'll go. Why not? I'll go first and kind of give the thing since the guest privileges and all. All right. So I started Halo. I didn't start Halo with Halo 1. Actually, when that came out, I was kind of a younger guy. I don't exactly remember how old I was, like 9-ish, 10-ish maybe. And so when that game came out, it still kind of freaked me out, because all I played at that point was Nintendo, Mario, and all that stuff. So this crazy first-person shooter with like blood and guns and all this stuff, it was a little crazy, but I got into it a little bit after that. And then from there on out, I just pretty much, I fell in love with it. Like, that Halo made me not be afraid of aliens anymore. I used to have a ridiculous fear of aliens, but Halo, made me interested on sci-fi, and I got into it, and then I played the games all the way through, and then years passed by, and eventually I joined up on HaloFollower, and still on that, and now I talk about Halo a little bit more often than I ever thought I would have, and that's pretty much the quick summary of my Halo life.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I don't know, Kevin, do you want to go or should I?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so I was also pretty young. I didn't really start with Combat Evolved, but my nephew, I guess, my nephew, I guess, he's older than me, but whatever. He had an original Xbox laying around, and with the two original Halos, like CE and 2, and me and my brother started playing that also at a really young age. Of course, it's a little bit later, but no one around us had a 360 yet, so that was kind of our first introduction to the first-person shooters in general, because kind of similar to you, we also just had a GameCube with like Mario and stuff, but it was awesome. Like Halo 2, even when the servers weren't there anymore, it was still fun in custom games with just my brother.
Yeah, for sure. Halo 2 definitely was the game that made me fall in love with Halo, more than Halo CE. Like, Halo 2, I was like, I'm dedicated.
Yeah, it's till this day my favorite Halo. So, yeah, and then it kind of snowballed from there. I got a 360, or I first also got an original Xbox, and then the games, and then I moved on to 360, eventually the One. And kind of recently I picked up the Halo 3 Xbox 360 console. Not really to play on, but more as like a display piece, but still kind of cool. I kind of collect those things. So, yeah, and now I'm here, I guess. So, Kevin?
Well, a while ago, when I was like 7 or 8, well, it was a long while ago, my father gave me the original Xbox. He managed to get it for cheap at work, but I really didn't care for it as much, so I gave it to my neighbor. He bought Halo, but I wasn't interested in it until a little later, when he basically forced me to play along. And that's when I kind of regretted that I gave him my Xbox. Because I started with Halo 2, by the way. And yeah, since I played it so much, my father bought me a new one. Because it was kind of not nice to take it away from my neighbor again. But yeah, we played a lot of Halo together. I also bought Halo 2, of course, and after like a year or something of playing Halo 2, I bought all the Halo games that were out at the moment, so Halo 3, Reach, and ODST, and Wars, of course. Didn't play much of Halo Wars.
Same.
But yeah,
It's a different game, so that's fair.
that's pretty much it. Not that much of an online fan, but I prefer playing with my friends on split screen.
I'm right there with you, man. If I had to choose between being able to play with my friends or playing online with, online friends, I'd probably choose my real friends, honestly. That's where, I didn't have Xbox Live until way later. I think it was Reach by the time I had my own Xbox Live, so the first Halo, 1 or CE, 2, 3, Wars, ODST, all those games, I just played by myself or with my friends whenever they came over, and so it was a big part of, that was my experience back then, and so that was another reason why Halo 5's deal kind of was a punch right in the gut for me. I really didn't like how it didn't have split screen, so.
Yeah, that's such... I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but...
Yeah, it wasn't a good idea, so yeah, I don't know. Someone made a lot of money to make that decision.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It seems to be a theme that people start with, like, the second one. I don't know, maybe... Because I think that launch of Halo 2 was, like, the biggest launch ever of a game at that time, right?
Yeah, at that time it was the biggest deal to happen with, like, from video games becoming more than just kind of like a behind-the-wall sort of thing. In the 90s and early thousands, video games were still kind of, I don't want to say underground, but they were nothing like they were today. But Halo 2 was the beginning of modern gaming. Like what we see today, Halo 2 is probably one of the first few games that really caused video games to be this massive thing that they are now.
Yeah. I think gaming in general has a lot of thanks to thank to Halo, because even like the controls, even like with the two control sticks, I don't really think that was done that much before Halo, and everyone kind of picked it up after that, like the Call of Duties and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess let's get into a little list I made first. It's kind of like under this little thing, what 343 needs to fix, in quotation marks, I guess. I have like the story, because the story of Halo 5, you couldn't really follow it along if you didn't have all the external information, I guess. Like the novels or the podcast. Also in the story, people were kind of confused about Cortana. There's this theory, I guess. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but kind of via a loot crate, that Cortana has the logic plague, which is a plague from the flood, I guess.
Yeah, it's a precursor, sort of like way back in the Forerunner time sort of deal. That's something that, maybe she does, but that could also very well be just the Halo lore people trying to really put stuff together a lot and all that. Like maybe not. I don't know. Probably. It makes sense, but I don't know. Probably not.
Because I'm wondering right now, because that must have happened between like Halo 2 and 3, I guess.
Yeah.
But why wasn't she like crazy in Halo 4? She was only kind of like breaking. Like she needed to go to Halsey to fix her, I guess. But she wasn't really going mad or something.
Yeah, it was. She was just kind of depressed, more or less, it seemed, and just kind of moody, and I think we've all kind of been in that place before, but it didn't seem like a flood-orientated issue.
And then she also faked her death, pretty much.
Yeah, that was all weird.
There are some people who basically want Halo 4 and 5 to like not be canon anymore.
I can understand why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a fan of Halo 4, though. Maybe more of the game itself, because like everybody kind of like, especially when it came out, they hated on it. Now everybody's kind of being kind of cool with it again, like they always do. But I liked Halo 4 as a game. Now the story, I understood that it was trying to be a much more true and much more, brought out story than the other Halo games, because they all kind of focused on a smaller individual story within a bigger story. The war, how's Master Chief going to save the day today? How's he going to save it tomorrow? And then how's he going to save all of humanity or whatever? And then Halo 4 kind of started this whole, like, you don't know what's going on with the story. This thing happens, this thing happens, this thing happens. There's no real end goal of this story, so that kind of makes it strange, and that's why a lot of people don't like it.
It's more focused on the chief, I guess, in a way, on how he feels after being in war so long, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. I still prefer the Bungie games, though.
Yeah, I think they just hit the feel a little better, you know, like, I don't know if the Halo storyline was ever supposed to be that emotional like it was with Halo 4, and kind of like with Halo 5, what they were supposed to, you know, do. Like, I don't know, I think it played too much on Chief and Cortana, like, having a, like, weird relationship together. I really liked how it was in Halo CE, Halo 2, and a little bit in Halo 3. But mostly in the first two games, to where, like, it was like she was like this witty, like, super clever, and this how it all came together, like her telling Chief what to do. You never were gonna, like, I mean, I guess, yes, some of the more, you know, stranger people would be like, I could see Cortana and Chief, like, yeah, they can be in a relationship, they love each other and all that. But I'm like, but if you look at those old games, there's no real sign of them having this weird, like, emotional connection with each other that started in Halo 4. Like,
they're more like companions in a way, not really like more than that.
Yeah. They just seem like a perfect duo for getting a mission done. Not like they're, you know, they've been together for a few years and they're going through rough times in their relationship and they got to worry about the bills and the kids and life just sucks and all that shit. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel on that.
Yeah. And then I guess we kind of went over the story. What do you think of the Spartan abilities, mostly in Halo 5, I guess, and a little bit in 4, but...
Okay, so when Halo 4 came out, I really wanted, because I knew, like, the next Halo game that was going to come out was going to be on the next Xbox, and I was like, oh my god, it's going to be so cool. If it's this cool now, it's going to be amazing. And the next one, because it's going to be on this new console, they're going to have more stuff figured out because it's this new company and all that. I kind of envisioned the idea of Spartans being able to punch through walls to grab, like, a grunt on the other side and, like, rip him through it. I wanted them to be able to lift the warthog out of the way to, like, you know, put up some sort of defense and all that. That's what I sort of thought of a Spartan ability. And then Halo 5 came in, and the Spartan abilities was pretty much just like every other advanced movement ability in modern FPS games. There was really no uniqueness to it. There was nothing that made you feel really like a true Spartan. I mean, yeah, it was cool that you could slide and you could climb over stuff and all this, but that doesn't make you a Spartan. That just makes you a normal person can slide. A normal person could jump over a little ledge, you know? Like, that didn't make me feel like a Spartan. So I kind of thought the Spartan abilities, although cool, they weren't what they needed to be. Instead of Spartan abilities, I would call them just, you know, modern video game abilities. yeah, exactly. And also another thing with, like, I guess sprints, which started in Reach, I guess, but they kind of screw up how the old maps play because of some remade. But if you look at I guess Midship, and I think it's called Truth in Halo 5, the size of them is so different. They're in Halo 5 they're much bigger because they have to be, otherwise you can't really, they don't really have the same feel because you can sprint now. And I think the maps kind of look weird because of it. Yeah, and I mean that's true. Like, all those old-timey maps, they don't feel just as good. They just don't have the same vibe, the same kind of, you know, I guess vibe is the right way to put it, and that is because you can move so quick, you can get anywhere so quick. Now, a common complaint that people have, and definitely a freaking complaint that I have with Halo 5, is that the game is so damn constantly edge of your seat intense. Now, sometimes that's cool. I want to go try hard sometimes. I want to, like, play with my friends and, like, order out, like, oh my god, go there, there's one coming and all that. Like, that's fun. But when every single game you do is like that, and it's so fast-paced, and you're constantly getting shot, dead, killed somebody, shot, dead, you know, like, and that's because these maps, they weren't that big in the first place, But then when you're moving that quick and that ridiculous, it's like they're a third of how big they actually were. And I really hope with Halo 6, they really expand the maps, because they promoted that Halo 5 was going to have like these awesome big maps with levels and all these different angles and all that stuff. But in reality, it was, I don't know, in my opinion, the maps were small and they were like lacking heart really bad.
I guess they were kind of talking about Warzone, I think, because those maps are huge, but I personally don't really like Warzone that much, because it's, at the end of the day, it's kind of pay to win, because if one person puts like $100 into the rec packs and gets all the cool weapons, and someone just picks up the game and wants to play, of course the guy with the rec packs is gonna win, because they have all the rocket launchers and vehicles and stuff. So it's kind of unfair to me, so I don't really play it that much. Of course, excluding Firefight, because that's just against AI, which is fine, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like that deal with Warzone. They promoted it to be the biggest maps of Halo, and I guess they are, although if you go on some of the PC Halo CE maps, I think they'd like to prove a different point. But
those are you.
They said they were the biggest, but you ended up only playing in about 50 to 60% of the actual map, while the other part of the map you don't ever see. Like that one, I can't remember. What is it, Apex 7 or something? The one where you're in the jungle? I think it's been so long now, I can't really remember.
It's on the beach, I think.
Yeah, the beach island map.
Yeah.
How often do you actually, other than when one of the boss AIs spawns out there, how often do you actually use the outer part of that map? Like, not much. The main part of the focus is in that strip right in the middle. So the maps weren't built, or the game mode in general wasn't built to utilize these huge maps that they were building. So it made them seem smaller than what they were, I think.
Yeah. Do we want Bungie back, with a question mark? Then I put next to it, because Destiny isn't really handled well by Bungie at the moment. So is it really good for Halo to have them back? I personally don't really think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about this, but most people get this, but there's the hardcore Bungie fans that, like, either they don't know or they just refuse to accept that the Bungie of today is not the Bungie of 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of those people that made Halo CE 2 and 3, they're either retired or they're working completely different things, you know, like they're doing their own thing. It's not the same team anymore. So when I go and I read through comments and I see people still saying, "We want Bungie, bring back Bungie," I'm like, you probably don't, because Destiny is not in any more better shape than the current Halo 5 games, you know. It's weird though, because when Bungie left Halo, they still had those original people. They left Halo because they knew that, I guess Microsoft told them, they're like, "Hey, we're about to milk the hell out of this franchise." So that's pretty much why they were like, "Alright, no, we don't want to do that. We want to go on to make our own thing. We want to make Destiny." So they left Microsoft, but then they went to Activision, which is even more of like a company that wants to milk the heck out of something.
Yeah.
And so there we have Destiny. So it's kind of like they cursed themselves when they left Halo, and I don't think that people really want Bungie to come back. Like, if anything, just say you don't want 343, but saying you want Bungie back is no better than saying keeping 343 around, because they're about the same thing at this point.
Yeah, I think 343 is a little bit, I guess, better, because they keep updating the game and keeping it fresh. But Destiny, after I guess Destiny 2 I'm talking, after you finish the campaign and you did the multiplayer a couple times and you did a few strikes, there's really nothing to do. It's so boring. At this point, I'm going through it again with some friends, but if that wasn't the case, I'd probably not start it up again.
Yeah. And that's the same issue I had with Destiny 1. I didn't even bother with Destiny 2. I haven't played it at all. Destiny 1, though, I did play, and it was so cool. I was like, when you play through that game at first, you're like, damn, this is a cool game. This is sweet. This is cooler than Halo almost. But then once you beat it, and you're like, oh, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Because the value of the game goes from, like, really good to pretty much nothing as soon as you beat the campaign. Unless you're one of those people that likes to grind out the same thing over and over again, which I'm not, so...
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I mean, the open world part of it is cool and all, but at the end of the day, there's nothing to do in that open world, which... I guess patrols, but those are just kind of like very small side missions.
Yeah, they aren't even really like... When I think open world game, I think like The Witcher or Elder Scrolls or any of those games. Everyone knows what an open world game really is. So that's kind of what I was hoping Destiny would be, but Destiny is not an open world game. It's a big, wide open map game. It's not an open world game.
It's more like a very large menu to walk to your missions.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. I've never heard that before, man. That's good. That's good stuff. It is just pretty much it's a menu that you can interact in. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad about it. Also, what kind of sucks about, I guess, it's happening with Destiny 2 now as well. The DLCs, they basically complete the game, but they're not in the game. So you get an unfinished game, which isn't really good, I guess. I was lucky. I bought the Destiny 1, the collection, at one point for like 40 euros, which is, I guess, a good price if you get everything. But my little brother, he bought Destiny at launch, then he bought the 2 DLCs, and I think Taken King, and after that he was like, no, I'm not buying any more of these DLCs, which don't really offer anything.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Destiny 2 is just a DLC to Destiny 1. That's why I didn't even bother with it. I saw it and I'm like, this looks just like Destiny 1.
Well, to be honest, it is a little... It is, in my opinion, a little better than 1. Okay. But still, there's even less to do after you beat the campaign. Still, the multiplayer is alright, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting multiplayer. I mean, it's about as good as any other basic modern multiplayer, but it doesn't give you anything that makes you want to come back to it.
Yeah, it kind of gets stale after a while.
Yeah.
Lack of maps, I guess.
Yeah.
So I have one more point, I guess, and that's basically just the Flood. Do we want them back in Halo 6? Is it the right time? And I think if they are going with the Cortana Logic Plague theory, then I guess yes. But otherwise, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Well, I love the Flood. I feel like the Flood helped make Halo as popular as it was, and why the Halo stories of the Bungie games were considered to be some of the best FPS campaigns ever at that point. And that's really because they helped set the tone. I mean, you don't have to be like a wimp to still get scared by the Flood. Like the music, how it sets in, the eeriness, the weird gurgles and the growls and then the shrieks and all that stuff, and then the swarm of them comes at you. That stuff's freaky. That's good damn gaming right there. When you mess with people's emotions. Yeah. Especially in CE. So
343 Guilty Spark, that mission. That's overwhelming in that one room when you first meet them.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like it's a flood. It's a literal flood coming at you, and that's why they got their name. So I don't know. Moving forward, it's like I want them to come back. Like that hardcore fanboy in me really wants them to come back. But at the same time, it's like, how can they bring them back to where it makes sense, and to where it's not just like they threw them in just to make a cameo because everybody wants them in. You know, if there's like a mission where it's like the Flood mission, it's like, you know, like if they're gonna bring it back, do it justice. Don't just bring it back because they're trying to check off their quota list.
Yeah, but I think they are coming back because at the end of Halo 5, I don't know if it's the legendary cutscene, but you see the Halo ring at the end, so I don't know what else that could mean.
Yeah. And speaking of that, it's funny that you bring that up, because now I'm not going to say this is what it is. This is just what I hear. Obviously, you hear the humming, and I guess that's supposed to be Cortana, and she's kind of doing the whole Guilty Spark, like thing or whatever. But then at the very end, if you listen really closely, it sounds like there's that classic flood, like "Rah!" Like little like growly screech thing. Now, I don't know what that is, but that's what I think. Go back and go back and listen to it, because if you listen beyond the humming, there is a point to where it sounds freaky and it sounds like a flood. Or I'm just dumb, but that's what I see.
Oh, well, that's interesting. And also, you had the Halo Wars 2 DLC with the flood, so that's maybe also a sign that they're coming back. But
yeah, I mean, that pretty much just, I guess, put them to where they're allowed to bring them back if they want to. That put it in the lore that there still could be flood out there. So that's kind of what I think they did that for. So they're like, oh, now we can bring them back, and, you know, we have like a good, you know, we already established that they could come back, so now we can bring them back whenever they want to. I didn't really like the flood in Halo Wars 2, though, especially the wacky inflatable flappy arm guys or whatever. They were like doing like martial arts and like kung fu moves and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, nah. But you know, they tried. That's all right.
I unfortunately do not own the game, but I think it's still a little bit too expensive for me, because if I want to get it, I want to get the Ultimate Edition, which has, I think, Halo Wars 1 as well for the one.
I think so, yeah.
But here in the Netherlands, I don't know how it is in the US, but here it still goes for like 80 euros, and that's just a little bit too much for me, because
yeah,
I tried Halo Wars 1. It's not really. It's just a different game.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't like Halo Wars 1, you're not gonna like Halo Wars 2, and that's just me being honest about it. It's, yeah.
I just thought of one last thing, maybe.
Go for it.
In Halo Wars 2, you have the whole Atriox story, I guess. Do you think that will be coming in Halo 6, or will they save that for maybe another Halo Wars game?
Honestly, I think Halo Wars is done. They brought it back, and I don't think it did well enough for them to go and try to make another one. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're gonna make another one. So I do think that the Banished are gonna play a role in Halo 6, and what I don't know is how big that role is. Because the Prometheans and Cortana are still the main villain. They're gonna be the big bad guys in the next one. Whether or not the Banished show up at the end after you solve that issue, and then Atriox is like, yo, now I'm the bad guy, you know? Or if he's going to come in during the middle of the game and either be a challenge to you, or they may throw a curveball and Atriox may end up helping you fight off the Created in Cortana. Don't know, though, but the Banished, my call is that they're going to be in Halo 6.
That was also mentioned in a recent HaloFollower video, right?
Probably. I think so. We've kind of gone over that a couple times, I think, in trying to establish the Banished. People wanted a more rugged bad guy, kind of like the old Halo bad guys, so that's why the Banished was created. And so they're gonna put him in the game. How they're gonna do it, we don't know yet.
Yeah, to me they look really interesting, the Banished, but in Halo Wars 2, I don't know if I can get far in that game, because people who play RTSs and they're like PC Master Race, and you can't play it on console and whatever.
I mean, it plays exactly, maybe not exactly, but it plays like 95% the exact same as the first one. So, I mean, honestly, I don't like to put it down or talk crap about it, but Halo Wars 2, for a game that was, what was it, almost 10 years after the original was put out, 8 years or something like that, it really feels like it was the sequel that was made like a year after, like a Call of Duty sequel or something. Like, it is literally the exact same game with a couple new weapons and all that. So yeah.
Oh well, I guess if the story was alright, right? Or was it also not really?
The story was good. How they put it into place and put it into motion and all that wasn't. If that makes sense, dude.
Okay.
The story was good. The campaign wasn't.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to look into it since I haven't.
That's my opinion, though. Yeah, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of topics. Anything you guys want to say? I don't know. Kevin, you didn't really talk much.
No, no, I didn't. I was hoping that Kevin, you didn't think that I was like talking over you, but you kind of like, you seemed like you were just listening. So
Yeah, I stayed quiet a little on purpose.
Oh, that's,
I really
that's fine.
I wanted to hear your opinions about a lot. We in one of the earlier podcasts we already talked about this particular topic a bit. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear someone else's opinion for a change.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's fair enough.
Of course, thanks for having you guys on here. Go check out DangerVille and everything. I'll put it down in the description. And yeah.
For sure, for sure. Yes, it's been a pleasure, Ghosty, and it's been awesome. And, you know, if you guys want to talk more in the future, let's do it. And if you want to come and watch me and Al on DangerVille, or since we talked about Halo, if you want to go and check out HaloFollower, go for it and do it. So, cool on that. All right, thank you guys.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
bye, guys.
Peace out.